first episode in our series regarding the stereotypes of intellectual nerds and geeks that are present in media. Up first today is sitcoms. Now we love watching sitcoms. We find that the portrayal of nerds and geeks in such situation comedies is disturbing, and that paying attention to them reveals patterns and tropes that are oftentimes categorize these nerds in stereotypical and realistic ways.
The use of laugh tracks further exacerbates this trend because the producers and the writers of the show are indicating to the audience that they're expecting people to laugh at these characters rather than with them. Most sitcoms, rather than celebrating the unique intellectualism of nerds, end up making fun of them by categorizing them as antisocial people who are just plain weird.
By laughing at the ways in which they are different from the rest of society, producers and writers are using stereotypes to provide comic relief. Stereotypes that are oftentimes more subtle than other forms of discrimination such as sexism or racism. To provide this cheap comedy, sitcoms oftentimes rely on three main tropes to make their point. These three are the wizard, the autistic narcissist, and the no-one-asked trope. To discern these patterns, we will be looking at several nerdy characters in modern sitcoms. These are Sheldon Cooper, Leonard Hofstadter, Howard Wolowitz, and Rajesh Koothrappali from The Big Bang Theory, Marnie Moss and Roy Treneman from The IT Crowd, Alex Dunphy and Manny Delgado from Modern Family, Ted Mosby from How I Met Your Mother, Ross Geller from Friends, and Dwight Schrute from The Office.
The wizard is an urban term for a person who is over 30 years old. The wizard trope tells us that nerds are antisocial people who can't talk to other people, let alone flirt with women.
This trope portrays nerds as people who cannot participate in anything social. They cannot flirt or talk to those of the opposite gender, and they have difficulty making friends. By using this trope, producers and writers get easy laughs from the audience by showing scenes in which male nerds try to flirt with other women and unsurprisingly fail. The following clips demonstrate this particular trope.
Oh, hi.
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 Hi?
We don't mean to interrupt. We live across the hall.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, no, we don't live together. I mean, we live together, but in separate heterosexual bedrooms.
Oh, okay, well, guess I'm your new neighbor, Penny.
Oh, Leonard, Sheldon.
Hi.
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 Hi. Well, oh, welcome to the building.
Oh, thank you. Maybe we can have coffee sometime.
Oh, great.
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 Great. Well, bye.
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 This is clearly not true. Intellectuals are not people who immediately get tongue-tied in front of women. Most, if not all of them, can still have interesting conversations with women, and they can flirt with other women as well. Social awkwardness is not something that one must develop to become an intellectual.
By portraying nerds and geeks as people who do not have that particular skill, it portrays them as inferior, different people who deserve to be laughed at. People should not be targeted in this way merely because they are intellectual or because they have a unique personality.
One extreme of this situation is when sitcoms try to obtain comic relief by having a nerdy character literally be unable to talk to women.
In The Big Bang Theory, Rajesh Koothrappali, or Raj, is an astrophysicist with a PhD. He has selective mutism, meaning that he cannot talk to women. The one caveat is that he can talk to women when he is drunk.
Once again, producers and writers have a field day with making fun of the character of Rajesh and embarrass him by developing comic stories out of his disability.
Where did my life go, Penny? One day I'm a carefree bachelor, and the next I'm married and driving a minivan to Pee Wee cricket matches in suburban New Delhi.
Are you talking to me?
Is there another Penny here? I had such plans. I had dreams. I was going to be the Indira Gandhi of particle astrophysics. But with a penis, of course.
It's amazing.
Ever since I was a little boy, my father wanted me to be a gynecologist like him. How can I be a gynecologist? I can barely look a woman in the eye. You know what? I'm not going to let my parents control my future any longer. It's time for a showdown. Somebody give me a computer with a webcam.
Okay. Sweetie, I think that's the grasshopper talking.
And it's about to tell my parents that I'm not riding an elephant down the aisle with Lalita Gupta.
Okay, calm down. No one can make you get married. Why don't you just meet this girl and see what happens?
Haven't you been listening to me? I cannot talk to women.
Raj.
No, let's see how long it takes him.
Raj, Penny, you say you can't talk to women, but you've been talking to me.
And now we'll never know.
You're right. I am talking to you. Hello, Penny. How are you?
I'm fine.
As shown, Rajesh is made fun of for not being able to talk in the presence of women. Writers use situations where Rajesh's friends misinterpret his words or situations in which a drunk Rajesh makes a fool of himself in order to provide comic relief.
Such stereotypes of intellectual nerds make it seem that nerds cannot talk to those of the opposite gender, either portraying them as tongue-tied or literally unable to talk to them. By doing this, the comic relief spreads a message that male geeks and nerds are people who turn strange and weird in the presence of women. Though writers and producers of sitcoms may not necessarily be intentionally spreading this message, this trope propagates this stereotype in society.
Another manifestation of Wizard's trope is when nerds in sitcoms try to interact with people of the same gender and once again fail.
These nerds try to make friends, and once again, producers have us laugh at their lack of social grace and ability. This following clip demonstrates the extent to which nerds' lack of ability to make friends is made fun of. Sometimes whole storylines are based around it.
We need to widen our circle.
I have a very wide circle. I have 212 friends on MySpace.
Yes, and you've never met one of them.
That's the beauty of it.
By emphasizing this lack of social ability, nerds and geeks are targeted for their differences from the rest of society.
This emphasis highlights the fact that nerds are different from the average person, and then condemns them for it.
This trope also includes instances in which nerds do not understand basic social protocol and end up either making clear social mistakes or trying to make friends with random people that they clearly should not be dealing with.
So how long does this course last?
Sorry?
How long does this course last?
Course? What course?
Hang on, take my clothes off.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm confused.
Well, so am I.
What did you think this was?
Well, I was going to eat you.
I may have misheard you there. Did you just say that you're going to eat me? Right, you did say that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm here for the cookery.
No, this is the cookery.
Look, I've got your advert here. I
Yes.
printed it out.
Yes. So...
I want to cook with you.
Oh, no, my English is not so good.
You want to cook with me? Using me, you mean?
Yes, you see?
Yeah, I see where the confusion was. I thought this was a cookery course.
No.
But you were looking for someone who would agree to let you kill and eat them.
Yeah. You see?
That is funny.
Yeah.
Hardly makes her an expert in making friends, wouldn't you agree?
I don't like birds. They scare me.
Me too. Most people don't see it. What are you reading?
Curious George.
Oh, I do like monkeys.
Curious George's monkey.
Somewhat anthropomorphized, but yes. Say, maybe sometime you and I could go see monkeys together. Would you like that?
Okay.
Sheldon, what are you doing?
I'm making friends with this little girl. What's your name?
Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca. I'm your new friend, Sheldon.
No, you're not. Let's go.
We were really hitting it off.
Don't look up those...
These clips highlight nerds' lack of social ability and mocks them for it. However, it doesn't end there.
This trope is once again exacerbated when sitcoms display the nerds' awkward situation and interactions with their friends they already have. They don't seem to understand social protocol, or rather they believe they do, but clearly have trouble actually fitting in. These awkward encounters encourage us to laugh at these nerds for being weird and unfamiliar with basic social conventions.
You want to know my opinion?
Oh, boy, do I.
Sarcasm?
No.
All right, then.
As shown, nerdy characters in sitcoms simply are not familiar with what is acceptable in social circles. Disregarding the fact that most intellectuals in real life are not necessarily antisocial and unknowledgeable about social interactions, sitcoms present nerds as people who just can't adapt to social situations.
Common ways to do this include nerds not understanding sarcasm, insulting their own friends, or incorrectly following basic social rules or conventions.
In time, I believe I've isolated the algorithm for making friends.
Sheldon, there is no algorithm for making friends.
Hear him out. If he's really onto something, we could open a booth at Comic-Con, make a fortune.
Hold on, Kripke. A loop counter and an escape to the least objectionable activity. Howard, that's brilliant. I'm surprised you saw that.
Gee, why can't Sheldon make friends?
The wizard trope established nerds and geeks as weird people who are removed from society and societal norms. This following trope, the autistic narcissist, goes even further and portrays these quirks as mental disorders.
As we have already shown, the antisocial behaviors and quirks of nerdy characters are constantly targeted in these sitcoms. However, certain quirks are depicted as more than just antisocial or weird. Some quirks of behavior are displayed as mental disorders.
One of the mental disorders that these quirks are reminiscent of is autism. One character in particular, Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory, displays inabilities to communicate and form empathetic connections, making him seem autistic.
But first, what is autism? Autism is a mental condition characterized by having difficulty in forming connections with others and communicating. Observe the different characteristics of autism in these following clips.
Yes?
I'm Leonard Hofstetter. I called you about the apartment. You said to come by.
I know what I said. I know what you said. I know what my mother said on March 5th.
Are you familiar with the Drake equation?
The one that estimates the odds of making contact with extraterrestrials by calculating the product of an increasingly restrictive series of fractional values, such as those stars with planets, and those planets likely to develop life. N equals R times FP times NE times FL times FI times FC times L.
As you can see, Sheldon's inability to recognize sarcasm, extreme adherence to habit, and his social isolation and disconnect indicate possible symptoms of autism. Clearly, generalizing nerds as autistic people with a lack of ability to connect to others is a definite negative portrayal of intellectuals. However, the implications of mental disorders does not end there.
Another mental disorder that often seems linked with nerdy characters, especially Sheldon Cooper, is obsessive-compulsive disorder, or OCD. OCD is exactly what it sounds like, obsession with maintaining some sort of habit or behavior that is seemingly random or paranoid. Sheldon Cooper in particular displays an obsession with two main things: first, symmetry, repetition, and second, maintaining their own system of order and organization. First, let's look at some examples of symmetry and repetition.
Penny. Penny. Penny.
Who do we love? Penny. Who do we love? Penny. Who do we love? Penny.
Another way that the implications of OCD manifests itself is through Sheldon's obsession with his own personal system of organization and habit. Let's look at some examples of that.
In the winter, that seat is close enough to the radiator to remain warm, and yet not so close as to cause perspiration. In the summer, it's directly in the path of a cross breeze created by opening windows there and there. It faces the television at an angle that is neither direct, thus discouraging conversation, nor so far wide as to create a parallax distortion like the one that...
As you can see, the implications of obsessive-compulsive disorder are clear in Sheldon Cooper. However, what ends up happening is that nerds become generalized to the point that nerdiness becomes equated with OCD. Sheldon's infamous OCD tendencies may be generalized to the community of intellectuals as a whole. But though the first two mental disorders were most exemplified by Sheldon Cooper, the third and final mental disorder is associated with most, if not all, of the nerdy characters in sitcoms.
Narcissism. The third and final mental disorder is narcissism. First, let's look at some examples.
I will meet you at Ibiza.
It's pronounced Ibiza, not Ibiza.
Oh, thanks, honey. That reminds me, this weekend I want to see that baby panda at the zoo.
Yeah, I'm the idiot.
As you can see, narcissistic personalities are an aspect of almost every nerdy character that we're looking at. It seems to generalize intellectuals and sends the implicit message that smart people look down upon others by assuming that all others are inferior to them. This is obviously a generalization, and not a very positive one at that.
The effects of comparing nerds to those with mental disorders is very disturbing, and the message it sends to the public is not positive at all. But things are only worsened with our next trope, the no one asked trope.
The no one asked trope involves nerds being obsessed with and constantly discussing typical examples of nerd culture, despite no one having asked it or brought it up.
This not only includes typically intellectual fields such as literature and science, but also nerd culture such as comic books, science fiction movies and television shows, and video games.
The first aspect of the no one asked trope is that nerds are obsessed with these nerd culture. They're constantly watching their favorite sci-fi shows, reading comic books, and generally not doing anything else.
In fact, these nerds often debate over the minutiae of nerd culture and sometimes stage great arguments over them.
You realize that scene was rife with scientific inaccuracy.
Yes, I know men can't fly.
No, let's assume that they can. Lois Lane is falling, accelerating at an initial rate of 32 feet per second per second. Superman swoops down to save her by reaching out 2 arms of steel. Miss Lane, who is now traveling at approximately 120 miles an hour, hits them and is immediately sliced into 3 equal pieces.
Unless Superman matches her speed and decelerates.
In what space, sir? In what space? She's 2 feet above the ground. Yeah, frankly, if he really loved her, he'd let her hit the pavement. It'd be a more merciful death.
Excuse me, your entire argument is predicated on the assumption that Superman's flight is a feat of strength.
Are you listening to yourself? It is well established that Superman's flight is a feat of strength. It is an extension of his ability to leap tall buildings, an ability he derives from exposure to Earth's yellow sun.
Yeah, and you don't have a problem with that? How does he fly at night?
A combination of the moon's solar reflection and the energy storage capacity of Kryptonian skin cells.
I'm just gonna go wash up.
I have 2,600 comic books in there. I challenge you to find a single reference to Kryptonian skin cells.
Challenge?
Ross, how about you? Which would you give up, sex or food?
Food.
Okay, how about sex or dinosaurs?
These constant references further isolate nerds from the rest of society. It makes them seem weird and different. In addition, others consider this obsession with nerd culture unhealthy and uncool.
This further isolation from the rest of society causes audiences to unconsciously view nerds as uncool, people who don't fit into society. This causes a greater disconnect between nerds and the rest of society.
Another form of the no one asked trope is when nerds make references to obscure things that no one else cares about, even though that no one asked.
These references involve nerd culture as seen in the following.
10 seconds to midnight! 10, 9,
No, wait! I have a speech!
6,
Stop talking! This is my moment, dagnabbit!
It's May the 4th.
Get it? May the 4th be with you?
May the Force be with you. Get it?
Oh no, this face wasn't because I didn't get it.
It also involves references to science and to literature.
Oh, really? You think you're stronger? Why don't you prove it?
Oh, I'll prove it. I'll prove it like a theorem.
Okay, if I were a salmon shirt, where would I be? Upstream. Damn, nobody's here for my good ones.
As you can see, what these references show about the no one asked trope is that...
No one asked, Brandon.
Got him. As I was saying, these references show that these nerds are once again disconnected from society.
Yes, they continue to make these references even though no one asked. By portraying these nerds as awkward and antisocial people who can't talk normally without making references, once again, it creates the illusion that nerds are weird people who can't talk normally in a proper societal fashion.
Some may argue that these sitcoms use these stereotypes merely for comedic purposes and that it doesn't have any physical or psychological effects on people in reality. However, just by using and propagating these ideas, what these sitcoms do is that they normalize these tropes into society and into our minds. It is naive for us to believe that these sitcoms do not have any effect on us.
The reality is that the consequence of these sitcoms perpetuating these stereotypes embeds into our minds that all geeks are antisocial, are unable to talk to the opposite gender, are obsessed with comic and science fiction forms of entertainment, and constantly allude to literature that no one else has ever heard of. Sitcoms are watched by wide audiences and are thus influential in society. Viewership for The Big Bang Theory, perhaps the best example of how sitcoms exploit stereotypes of nerds for comedic effect, is often measured in millions or tens of millions. Clearly, these tropes should not be used in these sitcoms.
What's worse is that sitcoms don't have to rely on these tropes for comedic effect. By relying on these tropes, producers and screenwriters are being lazy and relying on cheap, low-level comedy. There is one sitcom that acts as a foil and a contrast to all the tropes that we discussed. This sitcom is Community.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Me llamo T-Bone, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, muñeca, la biblioteca. Es el bigote grande, pero manteca.
Manteca, bigote, gigante, pequeño. Cabeza es nieve, cerveza es bueno.
Buenos días, me gustas papas frías. Bigote de la cabra, de Cameron Díaz. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
What? It's 2009.
Word.
Batman. Yeah. Are you staying for the party?
If I stay,
there can be no party. I must be out there in the night, staying vigilant. Wherever a party needs to be saved, I'm there.
Show's gonna last 3 weeks! 6 seasons and a movie!
As shown, Community manages to be funny without disrespecting nerds or relying on stereotypes. Community provides inside jokes that allows audiences to laugh with the nerds rather than at them. However, this is the exception to the general trend that sitcoms follow, even though Community's brand of humor is the sort of non-offensive humor that producers and writers of sitcoms should pursue. Humor can be provided without causing offense. Thank you for watching. Shall we